Good Saturday morning, everybody. Oh my gosh, I just had my clicker a second ago. I don't know where. Awkward. Good morning. I hope everyone's had a great day so far. I'm seeing some comments about how gorgeous the weather is. Kelsey, of course, enjoying it. My best friend there over in Atlanta. Luke saying that the morning temperature where he was 59. Good morning, Justin. Good morning, Joy. Hopefully, you all had a great start to your day. The weather really does look gorgeous. I mean, we got Monroe, Dallas, Boone, Concord, everyone looking fabulous to kick off the day. The dew point this morning was at 53 in Charlotte, which is very comfortable for this time of year, especially. And I mean, the air temperature was 66, which was the coolest since June 28th, I believe. So it was like the coolest in 52 days. The dew point, the humidity will stay relatively low, at least for August standards, even through this afternoon. High temperatures will reach the upper 80s to near 90 degrees, but we're still going to feel with those dew points in the upper 50s. Essentially like the air temperature. So that added feels like is really going to be almost non-existent today. However, that's not to say that's going to last the entirety of the weekend. Unfortunately, the humidity does start to creep back in from the coastline, kind of moving inland as early as Saturday night and into Sunday morning. And you're really going to notice that I think Saturday afternoon as our feels like temperatures will start to go up, as we'll of course be tracking 93 degrees is the high temperature and a heat index about 96 or so. But even right now, the dew point looks fabulous. The lowest right now, Concord, look at you, 52, 53 in Salisbury, Wadesboro, the same at 53. The lowest I personally saw on our official sensor maps this morning was 49 in Jefferson. So very comfortable, again, especially for August standards. It doesn't necessarily feel like fall, but I mean, hey, we're getting there. High pressure overhead, keeping things pretty calm, and you can kind of see that clockwise rotation with the arrows, bringing in some of that slightly drier, slightly cooler air coming in from the north and northeast. Now, eventually that is going to change a little bit, and we'll talk more about that coming up. But let's talk about how great of a weekend we have. I mean, tonight we have the Keep Pounding High School Classic going on at Bank of America Stadium. Kickoff for that is 7 o'clock. We have Charlotte Pride going on this weekend in the Queen City with the parade on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Lots of road closures in Uptown. We mentioned it during the show. If you do want to know what those are, you can head to our website. But I mean, it is going to be a busy weekend in Uptown, so definitely make sure you are avoiding it if at all possible. And if you do try to head to the parade, maybe take the light rail, some of those CATS options, or of course use the wonderful Uber and Lyft services like that. Weekend forecast upper 80s today, low to mid 90s tomorrow. Again, it is going to be a little bit more humid Sunday, but still great forecast to get outside. I remember last year it was really humid, so thankfully not dealing with that. Fun little fact for you Sunday morning. You know, we talk about this a lot when we're talking about some of the cool things going on in the sky, and one of those is the International Space Station is going to be viewable from Charlotte on Sunday morning, so tomorrow morning, 5:44 a.m. So if you're already planning on watching Wake Up Charlotte Weekend at 6, why don't you just wake up 16 minutes early and go outside and see it? Probably not going to be able to get a really good glimpse unless you have a long exposure camera or some kind of equipment, but you can look toward the south and southwest, visible for about 6 minutes. Good morning, Stephanie. It does feel great. And good morning, Christopher. Now, as we progress throughout tomorrow, we are going to be watching some changes as eventually we are going to be tracking that uptick in humidity. One of the reasons why is the high pressure kind of slips a little bit to the east, and that creates a more south to southwesterly wind versus a north to northeasterly wind. And this is going to start to crank up our heat and our humidity. And that's, of course, why our temperatures are going to go up 93 degrees and the feels like of 96. Monday, Tuesday, likely some of the hottest temperatures we've seen of the year so far. So far, the hottest temp was 96. I think we'll be challenging that both Monday and Tuesday. Here's the one little asterisk, though. Right now, it doesn't look like the dew points are going to be high enough to put us under a heat advisory criteria. So, you know, when you're talking about the feels like temperature, it's the measure, you know, it's using the high temperature, the dew point, relative humidity, all those things to calculate what it feels like on human skin. Because of course, when there's a lot of humid, muggy air, it prevents us from being able to sweat properly, because sweating is the body's natural response to help try to cool us down. So we have a less likely opportunity to kind of get that good sweat in when it's muggy outside because the water is so humid. So when you're measuring heat index, oftentimes you're talking about the temperature and the dew point. So if the temperature is here and the dew point is here, you're going to have a really high heat index because that measure of moisture is very high. But if the temperature goes up a little bit, but the dew point goes down, you might still have a heat index that's in the triple digits, for example, but it likely won't be quite as high, if that makes sense. So 96 is the hottest temperature so far this year. That was on back on Monday, so almost a week ago, and it feels like temp was 106. That's when we had the heat advisory. This Monday, Tuesday, I think we'll be close. I don't think we'll get quite to heat advisory criteria, but let me ask you a question. Do you really notice a significant difference between 104 and 105? The answer is no. So it's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. Make sure you're staying safe, staying hydrated Monday, Tuesday. You're not going to be weather aware because I think folks already kind of know to prepare for the heat at this point, as we know that this is oftentimes the hottest time of the year. But I'm just trying to remind you guys to stay weather aware today. And of course, that high pressure, it's not only contributing to our heat and humidity, but it's also helping suppress any kind of rainfall activity. So you can see a really large circle of just nada across most of the central part of the country. Whereas if you look at two specific tropical streams of moisture, you have one across southern parts of Florida all the way into the Gulf of Mexico, and then you have another one there over toward California and southern Nevada. Now, this is a 7-day rainfall forecast, so this does include the upcoming week. But I want to first hone in on this, all of that rain for Southern California and Southern Nevada, again, including Las Vegas. This, of course, is from a storm that you might have heard referred to at some point and maybe thought, a hurricane? There's nothing going on in the Atlantic. Well, you'd be absolutely correct. It's because it is in the Pacific. Not something you see normally, where there's been no other storm coming close really to the southern United States, but a hurricane moving potentially over on the West Coast. So Hurricane Hillary is currently a Category 4 hurricane. Before it does start to move inland, it is going to weaken. Cool waters in the Pacific Ocean is going to allow for the storm to weaken. Now, during an El Nino year, oftentimes these waters are not as cool as they normally are, but it's still going to be notably cooler compared to what we see on the East Coast. So a lot of times you'll hear East Coast meteorologists talk about how if there's really warm ocean waters, for example, in the Gulf Stream near the Carolinas, you could see strengthening before landfall. It will be the opposite here. So that's that first little bout of good news. The second thing is that it will be a tropical storm likely upon landfall, no matter where that happens. Right now, it does look like the track has shifted a little bit further east. So landfall could definitely actually happen on Baja California if the storm makes landfall in Southern California. And again, a specific landfall in Southern California, it would be only the second time in recorded history and the first time since 1939. So I saw a lot of posts on social media yesterday, and I actually was kind of looking over this data with my executive producer about how it's only the second storm ever to impact Southern California or hit Southern California, I think was the wording. I mean, that's not necessarily true because a lot of times Baja California, just below in Mexico, can see tropical systems make landfall, and some of those Southern California areas can see some remnant moisture, like San Diego and kind of on the east side of LA, so like kind of the same latitude, but a little bit further inland. It's just that a direct landfall is what they're referring to. So kind of keep that in mind. But still going to be substantial rainmaker for this area. They're going to see upwards in some spots of 10, 11, 12 inches. Some areas in Southern California and Southern Nevada could see some of the highest, like some rainfall totals that they would normally see, let's say in a year, if not 2 years, but in just a couple of days. So this is going to be a really, really bad flooding event, especially for areas that are already prone to it. If you have friends or family in this area, please make sure that they are aware and staying educated on this topic and heeding, any, you know, evacuation orders, things like that from emergency management officials, especially again if they're in an area that is prone to flooding, like on a regular quick thunderstorm day. Which yes, they see lesser of those than we do in the Carolinas or in the Southeast, but they do see them occasionally. Elsewhere in the tropics, we have 4 areas of interest to watch. Essentially, right now, these are just areas to watch. There is no direct threat to the Carolinas by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, 3 of these are invest now. That's the 3 on the central part of the Atlantic. So we actually have model data for them. Now, the one that's the furthest away, which is the one shaded in red with the highest chance of development, almost all those models have it staying well out to sea. So I'm kind of not really worried about the one shaded in red. The one shaded in orange is a little bit closer too. Some models have it forming as it moves through the Caribbean Ocean. Not all of them do. or Caribbean Ocean. Why did I say that? Caribbean Sea. And then it's the center one that, there's some models that indicate it could get closer to the islands. There's some that keep it out to sea. At this point, just something to watch. But the next storm name up on the list is Emily, and then that's followed by Franklin, and then Gert. Can't wait to talk about that storm. Um, just wanted to give you guys an update on the tropics, of course, and what's going on in California, just to give you some perspective. Again, it's not something we typically do see this time of year, but neither is really, really dry weather in the southeast and really, really hot and humid weather, as about 200 record highs are going to be challenged again in parts of the south over the next few days. So the weather lately has just been crazy. Good morning, Daniel. Hopefully you're having a great day. So quick recap of our local forecast. Upper 80s today, low to mid 90s tomorrow. Today is going to be one of the best days to get outside we have seen in months here in the Charlotte area. So if you have an opportunity, please get outside and enjoy yourself. Don't forget the sunscreen though, because we do still have a lot of sunshine. Again, a little bit more humidity tomorrow, but still not a bad forecast. Absolutely no rain either day. Monday, Tuesday, we do really start to crank up the heat. No record highs, but some of the hottest temperatures we've seen of the year so far. Right now, it looks like our feels like temperatures are above 100, but below 105. And then another dry cold front comes through the area, it looks like on Wednesday. That'll drop our temperatures maybe a few degrees by Thursday, but it's not going to be like what we're seeing this weekend. And then eventually it does look like past that 7, 8, 9, 10-day mark, we're really cranking up the heat and humidity again, with feels like temperatures likely in the 100s again. And next weekend, of course, is a big one. We have Carolina Panthers for their preseason game on Friday at Bank of America Stadium. Then Charlotte FC back next Saturday at Bank of America Stadium. So enjoy this weekend. Next weekend does look to be a lot more humid and a lot hotter. Hopefully everyone has a happy, safe, and healthy Saturday. We'll be back on Wake Up Charlotte weekend tomorrow, starting at 6 o'clock, that is. And during our 9 o'clock hour, Science Sunday. Yay. See y'all tomorrow. Have a great day.